Welcome back to the Dragon Den. My loyal Dragonites, King of Dragons 5000 is back with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Mythic Legion's Figura Obscura, Masque of the Red Death. And so here we have the Masque of the Red Death pose and out of the packaging, but before we have a look at the figure, let's run through his accessories. The Red Death does come with several ghoulish pairs of hands, as well as a dagger. Also included is a grandfather clock with a lot of details and a puddle of blood. So overall, a decent batch of accessories for the Red Death. So with that out of the way, let's have a closer look at his details. The Four Horsemen have done an amazing job here with the Red Death. He is draped in blood red and scarlet robes which look amazing, and they are removable if you want to take them off. The head sculpt on the Red Death is impressive. I especially love the masquerade mask that he's wearing. It is intricately detailed, looking fantastic with a great contrast to the rest of his skull. And the mask is removable, exposing his gaping maw. The Four Horsemen have done a really good job making the robes here on the Red Death. We do have an inner and outer robe which looks fantastic here on the Red Death. The dark red robe does a good job draping itself along most of the figure's body. And underneath that we have the bright scarlet robe which also has a hood attached to it. The bottom of the red robes is frilled and worn, which looks fantastic here on the Red Death. Removing the robes of the Red Death exposes the ghoulish form of the Gaunt figure himself. A very emaciated torso looks fantastic where you can see his ribcage sculpted on his torso. The figure is so emaciated his spine is also exposed on the back of the figure. His arms are gaunt and lanky, giving him the feel of rotting flesh. We have this very dark color used for the Red Death's flesh, which does a really good job transitioning itself to his red fingers. And on the right hand we have the red hand of death. He also is wearing a scarlet loincloth which is sculpted very nicely. The loincloth does a really good job draping itself around the figure. The legs on the Red Death are also done very nicely, where we do have some wearing on his flesh. Done in that same dark plastic, we do have some added detail on the right side where the skin is starting to expose the muscle and sinew. His lower legs continue that ghoulish detail going all the way down to his feet. Very ghoulish feet look amazing here on the Red Death, all the way down to his sharpened toenails. The Red Death here is sculpted fantastic, and he actually looks like a living zombie. Add to it the fabric and robes used on him do a really good job giving him that really ghoulish appearance. With his details out of the way, let's get him compared to our usual suspects. Here we have the Red Death posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and DC Multiverse Superman. Mattel's WWE Elite Series and Mezco's 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. The Lightning Collection White Ranger and the Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally we have the Masque of the Red Death posed next to the rest of the Four Horsemen Figura Obscura line. So the Red Death is going to scale more into your 6.5 or 7 inch figures. But you can still fudge him into your 6 inch collection as well. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's run through his articulation. The Red Death has a ball joint in the head and a hinge in the neck. Arms go out to the side and do a full 360. Swivel hinge at his elbows. Swivel hinge at his wrists. Ball joint in his lower torso. Legs kick forward, go back, out to the side, and have a thigh swivel. Single hinge at his knee. Swivel at his ankle, hinge in the ankle, and forward facing pin for rocker. So nothing too spectacular here for the Red Death, however it is in line with the rest of the Mythic Legions line. For a ghoulish figure, I think the articulation does work here for the Red Death. So with everything said and done, let's have a final look at the Masque of the Red Death. The Figura Obscura Masque of the Red Death is another great inclusion to the Figura Obscura line. The Four Horsemen have done a great job bringing the Masque of the Red Death from the story into action figure form. The robes are nicely done on this figure and they scale really nicely to him. We do have some wireframes, however they are kind of flimsy here on the Red Death. Though they are a little bit flimsy, you can still get them in some really good poses. If you disrobe the Red Death, you are greeted with this very gaunt zombified body. The Four Horsemen spared no expense sculpting this zombie body, and it looks great here on the Red Death. However, I feel like the robes are an important part to this figure and do a really good job of bringing everything together. Add to it, including the grandfather clock from the story was a nice touch, and giving him the dagger is another great detail to the story. With some good sculpt work and a fantastic set of robes, the Red Death is a must-have figure for any fan of the Figura Obscura line. However, getting him is going to be another story, because this figure is sold out on the Four Horsemen website. The Red Death was available for a limited time on the Four Horsemen website, and unfortunately if you missed out on him, secondhand market is the only way to pick him up. If you're a fan of Mythic Legions or Figura Obscura, definitely track down Masque of the Red Death. With that being said, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and check out the rest of my Figura Obscura videos. Check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, videos, recent pickups, latest prints, and as always, ring that bell so you never miss another video. And until next time, my fellow Dragonites coming from the Dragon Den, I'm KingofDragons 5000 reminding you to redesign, rebuild, and reclaim. I'll see you next time.